Matilda came out in 1996 and quickly became one of the most unforgettable childhood movies ever made. But behind the magic of this story, the real lives of the cast were far more emotional, and in some cases, truly shocking. One cast member lost her mother during filming, and another completely disappeared from the spotlight. So where are they now in 2026? And what really happened after the cameras stopped rolling? Number 1. Mara Wilson. She was the heart of the film, the little girl who made Matilda feel real. Mara Wilson played Matilda Wormwood with a quiet intelligence and emotional depth that stood out instantly, even among a strong cast. At the time of the film's release in 1996, she was just 8 years old, already known for roles in Mrs. Doubtfire and Miracle on 34th Street. But what many people didn't realize was that during the filming of Matilda, Mara was going through something incredibly painful. She lost her mother to breast cancer, a tragedy that deeply affected her at such a young age. Now, in 2026, Mara Wilson is 38 years old, and her life took a very different direction from what many expected. She stepped away from acting in her early teens, later speaking openly about the pressures of childhood fame and how it impacted her mental health. Instead of staying in Hollywood, she chose a quieter path, building a career as a writer and storyteller. Today, she is known for her books, essays, and honest reflections on growing up in the spotlight, earning respect in a completely different way. Her journey remains one of the most emotional and unexpected stories from the entire cast. Number 2. Danny DeVito. Long before Matilda, he was already a household name, but this film added something special to his legacy. Danny DeVito played the loud, selfish Mr. Wormwood, bringing a chaotic energy that made every scene unforgettable. He wasn't just acting in the film, he also directed it, making Matilda one of the most personal projects of his career. Back in 1996, he was 51 years old, already a major figure in Hollywood. Fast forward to 2026, Danny DeVito is now 81, and incredibly, he still hasn't slowed down. He continues to work across film and television, most notably keeping his role as Frank Reynolds alive on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for nearly 2 decades. Off-screen, his relationship with Rhea Perlman has always drawn attention. The two were married for many years, later separating, but never fully disconnecting from each other's lives. Even today, their bond remains one of Hollywood's most talked about relationships. And as for Danny, his energy and passion for acting seem almost unchanged by time. Number 3. Rhea Perlman. At first glance, her character seemed almost cartoonish, but she made it feel completely real. Rhea Perlman played Mrs. Wormwood, the self-absorbed, television-obsessed mother who barely noticed her gifted daughter. Her comedic timing turned what could have been a simple role into something truly memorable. When Matilda was released in 1996, she was 48 years old, already widely recognized for her role as Carla on Cheers, which earned her multiple Emmy Awards. Now, in 2026, Rhea Perlman is 77, and she's still active, still sharp, and still respected as one of television's most accomplished comedic actresses. Working alongside Danny DeVito in Matilda wasn't just acting, it reflected their real-life relationship, which added a unique layer to their on-screen dynamic. Over the years, their on and off relationship has remained surprisingly close, even after separation, something rarely seen in Hollywood. And despite decades in the industry, Rhea has managed to maintain a career filled with consistency and quiet longevity. Her presence in Matilda is still one fans remember instantly. Number 4. Pam Ferris. Some characters are meant to be disliked, but this one became unforgettable. Pam Ferris brought Miss Trunchbull to life, a terrifying headmistress whose presence alone could make any scene feel intense. Her performance was so convincing that many viewers almost forgot there was a real person behind the role. In 1996, she was 47 years old, already an experienced actress with a strong background in theater. Now, in 2026, Pam Ferris is 77. And when you look at her full career, the contrast is almost surprising. Because outside of Matilda, she played warm and kind characters, like Ma Larkin in The Darling Buds of May, and Sister Evangelina in Call the Midwife. Roles that feel completely opposite to Miss Trunchbull, that range is what truly defines her career. Even after 3 decades, her performance in Matilda is still considered one of the most iconic villains of the 90s. And for many fans, it's hard to believe it's the same actress behind those gentle roles. Number 5. Embeth Davidtz. Not every performance needs to be loud. Sometimes, quiet strength leaves the biggest impact. Embeth Davidtz played Miss Honey, the kind, soft-spoken teacher who understood Matilda better than anyone else. Her calm presence became the emotional center of the entire film. When Matilda was released, she was just 29 years old and had already gained serious attention for her role in Schindler's List a few years earlier. Now, in 2026, she is 59, and her career has shown a remarkable level of range and consistency. She appeared in films like Bridget Jones's Diary and The Amazing Spider-Man, moving between different genres with ease. Unlike many actors, she chose her roles carefully, focusing more on quality than quantity. On the personal side, she married director Andy Tennant and later built a family life away from constant media attention. Her journey may not be filled with controversy or headlines, but it reflects something rare: quiet stability in an unpredictable industry. And her role as Miss Honey remains one of the most loved characters from the film. Number 6. Paul Reubens. Sometimes, even a small role can carry a much bigger story behind it. Paul Reubens appeared briefly in Matilda as one of the FBI agents, but his presence was instantly recognizable. Known worldwide as Pee Wee Herman, he had a unique energy that made every moment on screen stand out. In 1996, he was 43 years old, at a time when he was slowly rebuilding his career. Just a few years earlier, a public scandal in 1991 had seriously damaged his image, forcing him out of the spotlight for a while. But over time, he worked his way back, returning to acting and earning respect again through both comedy and more serious roles. He appeared in projects like Blow and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, showing a different side of his talent. However, his story took a sad turn. Paul Reubens passed away on July 30th, 2023, at the age of 70, after a private battle with cancer, something many fans didn't even know about until the news broke. His passing came as a shock to an entire generation who grew up watching him. Even though his role in Matilda was small, his legacy in entertainment remains much bigger than that moment. Number 7. Kiami Davael. She wasn't the main character, but she was impossible to ignore. Kiami Davael played Lavender, Matilda's loyal and fearless best friend, the one who wasn't afraid to stand up to Miss Trunchbull. Her confidence on screen made her an instant favorite among fans. Back in 1996, she was around 10 years old, holding her own alongside a cast full of experienced actors.
Now in 2026, Kiami Davael is around 40, and like many child actors from that era, her path took a different turn. After her early acting years, she slowly stepped away from Hollywood, choosing a more private life. She later focused on education and personal growth, staying mostly out of the public spotlight. Even today, she rarely appears in major media, which only adds to the curiosity around her life. But despite her quiet presence, her role as Lavender remains unforgettable, especially for fans who grew up watching the film. Sometimes a single role is enough to leave a lasting impression. Number 8. Brian Levinson. Not every character needed to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes, doing less made it work even better. Brian Levinson played Michael Wormwood, Matilda's older brother, a laid-back teenager who seemed completely fine living in his own lazy world. His performance felt natural, almost effortless, which made the character believable. When the film released in 1996, he was just 11 years old, still very early in his acting journey. Now in 2026, Brian Levinson is 40, but unlike many others from the cast, he didn't stay in the industry for long. After a few early roles, he stepped away from acting entirely, choosing to build a life outside of Hollywood. Very little information is publicly available about his adult life, and he rarely appears in interviews or reunions. That mystery has made him one of the most talked about former child actors from the film. Fans often wonder what really happened after he disappeared from the spotlight. And to this day, the answer remains mostly unknown. Number 9. Tracy Walter. You may not always notice him right away, but somehow every scene he's in just works. Tracy Walter played one half of the FBI agent duo, bringing his signature deadpan style to the role. Even with limited screen time, he added a unique presence that fit perfectly into the film's tone. In 1996, he was 49 years old, already known as a reliable character actor with an impressive list of credits.
He had appeared in films like Batman, Repo Man, and The Silence of the Lambs, working with some of the biggest names in the industry. Now, in 2026, Tracy Walter is 79, and he continues to be recognized as one of those actors who never needed the spotlight, but always delivered. His strength has always been subtlety, making even the smallest roles feel complete and believable. Over the years, he kept working consistently, without chasing fame or attention. And that quiet consistency is exactly what made his career last for decades. Sometimes, being unforgettable doesn't require being the center of attention. Number 10. Jacqueline Steiger. Some moments in movies last forever, even if the role itself is small. Jacqueline Steiger played Amanda Thripp, the girl with pigtails who was thrown by Miss Trunchbull in one of the film's most shocking and unforgettable scenes. It was dramatic, a little terrifying, and at the same time, strangely funny. Back in 1996, she was around 12 years old and fully committed to a role that required both physical acting and perfect timing. That single scene became one of the most remembered moments from the entire film. Now, in 2026, Jacqueline Steiger is around 42, and like several of her young co-stars, she chose a life away from Hollywood. After her early acting work, she gradually stepped out of the industry, keeping a very low profile over the years. She rarely appears in public discussions or media, which has only added to the curiosity around her. Still, her role in Matilda gave her something lasting, a moment that fans continue to remember decades later. And sometimes, that's more than enough. Number 11. R.D. Robb. Not every actor in a film needs to be front and center. Some quietly support the world around them. R.D. Robb played Roy, a smaller supporting character connected to the Wormwood family's chaotic world. His performance was subtle, but it helped ground the scenes he appeared in. When Matilda was released in 1996, he was around 24 years old, already building a steady career in film and television. Many fans also recognize him from A Christmas Story, where he played Schwartz, a role that became a holiday classic over the years. Now, in 2026, R.D. Robb is around 54, and he has continued working in the industry, staying active without chasing major spotlight roles. His career reflects something different: consistency without the pressure of fame. He has appeared across various projects, maintaining a presence that may not always be highly visible, but remains steady. And in a way, that quiet longevity speaks for itself. Number 12. Jean Speegle Howard. Some roles may be small, but they carry a warmth that stays with you long after the film ends. Jean Speegle Howard played Miss Phelps, the kind librarian who welcomed Matilda into a world of books and imagination. Her presence in the film brought a sense of comfort and calm that balanced the chaos around it. During the filming of Matilda, she was 73 years old, bringing decades of life experience into a role that required genuine kindness. Off-screen, she was part of a remarkable Hollywood family, the mother of director Ron Howard and actress Bryce Dallas Howard. But sadly, Matilda also marked the final chapter of her life. Jean Speegle Howard passed away in 1996, the same year the film was released, at the age of 73. Her performance became one of her last appearances on screen, leaving behind a quiet but meaningful legacy. Even today, her role in Matilda feels timeless, a reminder of how powerful even the simplest characters can be. So, that was the cast of Matilda, then and now, in 2026. Which one surprised you the most, and who changed the most over the years? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Screen Rewind for more Then and Now videos.